My name is Richard John Sullivan. I was born in Deer Park, and I'd like to just read of my 2 years of military service in one day. I was an 18-year-old waiting to serve my country. Some of my classmates were given permission by their parents to join the military at an early age. My parents wanted me to graduate, so I did in early June 1944. In August 1944, I was called to report for active duty and assemble in Dayton, Ohio. From there we went to Fort Hays, Columbus, Ohio, to be sworn in for military service. The following day, we went to Camp Atterbury, Indiana, which is near Richmond, Indiana. There we had orientation and fitted for a U.S. Army military uniform. There we had orientation and was fitted for a U.S. Army military uniform. Later that day, we were again sent to Camp Walters, Texas, which is near Fort Worth. There we were told we were going to have 17 weeks of military training. On Christmas Eve, 1944, we were taking training how to crawl under live machine gun fire and how to react under machine gun fire. One thing they told us, don't get up or you'll never get down. The training we missed was eventually done in Holland while waiting to be assigned to the 102nd Infantry Division located on the Ruhr River just inside Germany. While on the Ruhr River, the river looked like a canal about 75 feet wide, but the Germans had broke a dam upriver and flooded the whole area, which made it then almost 1.5 miles wide. It flooded the whole area for almost 1 mile wide. Finally, the Allies decided to cross the river into Germany by building a footbridge across the river. The river was so swift that many boats capsized. Fortunately, I crossed in the last group, and I still can't swim, but I got across the river safely. After safely onto shore, 2 German aircraft came down the strafe, shooting at all of us. We all ran for our lives. Afterward, we regrouped, and an officer said, "Come out of there the way you went in," because that area was never cleared for landmines. Luckily, no one got injured. Later, we advanced to the town of Boslar, which was about 3 miles from the Ruhr River. The next German line of defense that night was hell. That night, the enemy counterattacked us 4 times with tanks and soldiers. Finally, the battalion commander of ours called in our own artillery on top of us because we were below ground and the Germans were above ground. Finally, our battalion commander called artillery on top of us, and most of us were in foxholes where I read that. Orders were given finally to find a basement and stay put. I left my gun and ran for cover. During that time, I must have been blown off my feet 5 or 6 times, but I survived. Our next objective of command was to capture the city of Crayfield, located on the Rhine River. With about 6 miles away, it took us 4 days to get there, because with the help of the 29th and 84th Infantry Division, we could not have done it. Low-flying planes, P-47s and B-26 bombers softened up the enemy for the infantry. After that, we were sent to guard our headquarters for the next 10 days. Crayfield was about the size of the city of Hamilton, Ohio. From there we advanced to Munster, where we came across a champagne factory warehouse. Many 5-gallon containers of champagne were consumed, but eventually confiscated. About that time, April the 4th, 1946, FDR, our president, died. After that, we really moved fast to get to the River Elbe, where the Russian army was chasing the Germans to us. The Russians were chasing the Germans somewhere to the American line, because Russia would have killed them otherwise. On April the 27th, 1945, it happened. 210,000 Germans surrendered. From there, they were taken into interrogation, fed, and were given medical attention. After that, it was peaceful, and we occupied southern Germany for 4 months. Later, I was then transferred to the war trials, also 4 months. And I, at one time, personally asked Hermann Goering, when they hung him, if I could have his boots. There were 23 Nazis on trial. 21 of them were hung. Hermann Goering somehow got hold of some cyanide, and he died. And in 1999, every 5 years they tried to visit all the graveyards. And when we went there in '99, Alger Hess, he was still alive in 1999. So when he died, I don't know. And one of my accomplishments, one day there was 4 Germans, they were gonna attack us, and I had a Browning automatic rifle. Well, the 4 Germans started coming our way, but with an automatic rifle, I shot. All 4 of them went down, but none of them got up. If they were dead or not, I don't know. But I got the Bronze Star for that. And our outfit at the Battle of the Bulge got 2 presidential unit citations, which was very good. And
how long did you stay at the Battle of the Bulge, from the time you were there till it ended?
I was over there like maybe 6 or 7 days, because like I say, I was somewhat of a rookie, but I was there.
I imagine it was horrible.
Yes.
The battle was so.
Yeah, it was so bad. They said they took the MPs, people that that worked in kitchens and that. They gave all those guys guns. They probably didn't have as much training as me, but you shot everything, anything that moved. There was a place on that River Elbe, was called Tagamundi. When they surrendered, one one American soldier got a bright idea. They had to swim across a body of water like the Little Miami River. These guys were swimming across the river, and one bright GI said to the Germans, "Did you bring any souvenirs?" Nine. They made some of these guys swim back, maybe 75 or 100 feet. They'd come back with binoculars, pistols, rings, cigarette lighters. But I cherish this one ring that I got. It's a dandy. He was a big guy, but this ring, well, the ring was so big it fit on my finger. But when I got home, I had it remounted for here, and it's a German stone. It's called tourmaline, and I really treasure that. And
during the war, did you make it to Berlin? Did you fight in Berlin at all?
Got within 20 miles. That's when we met the Russians.
Mm-hmm. That's
So,
right there by that river?
yes.
Mm-hmm. Tell me, I have two more questions. Tell me about the war trials. You were there through most of them? And what was your duty there?
There were 23 cells. Unfortunately, I was a staff sergeant then, and I pulled interior guard duty on just those 23 cells. And if there was ever a problem, they would come to me. Well, one day, Hermann Goering came down from trial, and he was cussing, kicking everything and all this stuff. And the guy that was actually guarding that day, he says, how can we quiet him down? He's disturbing all these other guys. And I said, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. You're not allowed to go in a cell, but he and I did. And when I was in that cell, Herman was still cussing and out, and I said, Herman, I said, you're disturbing everybody. I said, do me a favor. Yeah. I said, when they hang you, can I have your boots? Then, boom.
Did he laugh then, or what did he say?
He just kept on cussing and kicking.
That's a good story. That's
It
good.
was.
Following the battles, I know that you met up with the Russians at the River Elbe.
Yes.
What was that like?
It was more thrilling to see 210,000 Germans running for their lives, but they were very peaceful. They wanted to surrender because the Germans, I don't think they treated the Russians too well, so the Russians retaliated. But it was just good to see it come to an end.
How did the American troops and the Russian troops get along?
Very peaceful. They all wanted to do that because some of those guys were there, 3 and 4 years. I was just saying that's short time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And did you hear? Who did you hear that Roosevelt had died, and what did you think that might change?
I thought the war was over when he died, being an 18 or 19-year-old at the time. And when the war was over, we were sent down. They divided Germany into 5 areas. We were sent down to Bavaria, and Hitler was born in Austria. But I got pictures. I don't know if it must be in another book. I was at Hitler's house in Berchtesgaden, and he was about 9,000 or 10,000 feet up above the town. So I got pictures of his house, and the sign says Hitler's house. And one thing I neglected to say, about a couple of weeks before I came home, I was offered to take a tour to Switzerland and Rome. And I went to Rome and went through all the Colosseums and this and that. Had an audience with the Pope. And one thing. And then when we left Rome to go back to Germany, we went through Milano, Italy, and there were different people had taken pictures when Mussolini got killed. They killed him, then they hung him by his feet in a gas station. And I bought some pictures of that. I got them, but I guess they're not there.